There's a stack of fish underneath me right now, so thick that it looks like just an extension of the bottom. They are just piled up underneath me. And this is a whole conglomeration of fish underneath me. I'm catching crappies, I'm catching bluegills. There he goes, right there. Got him. And I'm fishing right under the boat. I'm fishing right off the back, right under the boat. Boy, this feels like a good fish. It's so hard because you don't really know what they all are, because there's, like I said, there's sunfish in here, bluegill, sunfish, there's crappies. Look at that, beautiful bluegill. This is probably my favorite time of the year to fish panfish. That's an awesome fish right there. Great eater size fish. I'm not gonna need to keep a pile of them today, so we'll let this guy go. But here's what makes this time of the year so fun for me when it comes to fishing for panfish. You can see them and you can catch more of those bigger fish. And here's why. It's not that long ago that these fish were burrowed up in all those weed beds. And they were up there because it provides them the cover that they need to stay alive all year. They can avoid the pike, they can avoid the bigger walleyes, they can avoid the bass, especially those bluegills, because bass love bluegills. But here's the thing, your crappies and your bluegills were burrowed up in those weeds for protection and because there was food in there. But what happens is all of a sudden those weeds start to die off, they get thinner, and then the bait leaves. And when the bait bails out of there, now they've got nothing to eat, so it's time for them to leave. And that's why we're out here now. And what makes this such a fun time for me to fish panfish, whether it be crappie or bluegill, is they become so much easier to see on my sonar unit. What I'm doing today is actually really simple. I'm using my trolling motor in conjunction with my graph, okay? That Minn Kota up on the bow, I'm using it to just creep against the wind, and I'm working my way along. There's a hole right here, okay? I'm working my way along the edge of that hole, and I can see it on my Lake Master map. So I'm working my way along here, and then what I'm doing is I'm just watching that sonar unit, and when I see fish on that Humminbird, I just hit the spot lock, I sit and I fish them, I catch the willing biters, and then I move on again. And I'm just moving along school to school. I'm not actually fishing spot to spot here, okay? Because this is not earlier in the year when these fish were relating to structure. What they're relating to now is wherever there's balls of bait, where they can find bait, that's where these fish are gonna be, because when they get out into this deeper stuff in these holes, you're not gonna find a bunch of structure. Every now and then you might get lucky and come across a stick or a log or maybe a small little rubble pile that's holding bait, which will then in turn hold some of these panfish. But for the most part, these are suspended schools of fish, and all they're doing is roaming around out here on the edge of this deep water, just looking for schools of bait, and that's why they're up higher. So what I'm doing is just moving along, finding those schools, dropping right on top of them and fishing them. I mean, you can see how I'm fishing them today. I'm just fishing a float and a little nipper, and I'm just dropping it right over the back of the boat, hit that spot lock button, see them on the graph. I mean, it's pretty easy pickings. And I'll tell you, this is the only time of the year that it's this easy. Ultimately, if it were this easy all year long, there'd be no panfish in any of our lakes, because they're that easy to catch because you can see them on that sonar unit. Get out and enjoy some of this fall fishing, because this is something that people miss, and it's so easy because you can use that graph, you can use that Humminbird, you can find these fish, you can creep along with that Minn Kota, go school to school to school and catch them. And it just really doesn't get a whole lot easier or more fun than this. And how do you beat a mess of crappies or a mess of bluegills in the frying pan at the end of the year?